So today we're at Danebury Hill Fort. I just want to have a look at the fortifications that the Iron Age people built into their forts to make the lives of attackers very difficult. Down there, where you can see that tree, a gravel path leading in front of it there, it leads up to the first gate, which is between these two mounds. So I'm now standing outside the outer gate, and as you can see behind me, there's a clear and rather fabulous view over the surrounding landscape. So this gives you some idea of just how much this fort would have dominated the surrounding landscape and made it much easier for the defenders to control this particular area of Britannia. The final thing to bear in mind, of course, is the actual situation of the fort, and as you can probably see from behind me, it enjoys a fantastic view over the surrounding landscape, so any enemies approaching the fort would have been visible some way off and given the local people plenty of opportunity to get their livestock and their people inside the fort before the enemy turned up, assuming of course they didn't attack at night. So here we are on the top of one of the mounds of the main gate into Danebury Hill Fort, and you can see opposite over there, that's where the other mound is, and the gate would have extended from where I'm standing across to there. One thing to note is this thing here, this track that goes across onto the top of another mound which overlooks the way into the fort from the outer gate, which is over there. So the ancient Britons knew a thing or two about fortifications, although it didn't do them much good, of course, when they came up against the Romans. So the interior of Danebury Hill Fort extends all the way around, and you can see the track that goes along the top of the inner rampart there, which goes all the way around the interior and then comes back to over here where the main gate would have been. So the interior of Danebury Hill Fort would have been consistent of round huts constructed possibly of wattle and daub with a thatched topping or possibly even wooden shingles, and some square stone-built structures which were probably granaries, and there were grain pits here, many grain pits. The archaeologist Barry Cunliffe excavated the site in the 1960s, and he came across some scores of these grain pits and many houses as well, the round huts and the square huts. So this would have been a sort of thriving community, and back in the day, you know, the valuable thing was the grain. The grain was the sort of the measure of wealth in the Celtic world. So let's now do an attacker's point of view of if we're going to take on Danebury Hill Fort. One of the things that Barry Cunliffe found when he was excavating this was very many thousands of slingshots. So clearly the ancient Britons were dab hands at using the sling just as much as the Romans. Okay, so here we are at the outer gate. So we've got the ditch surrounding it, we've got the rampart up there, and then we've got these two mounds here, which the outer gate would have stretched across this piece here. So our attackers then would have to come up here to the gate, which would be closed of course, and they'll be pelted by rocks and arrows possibly, and spears and slingshot from these two locations here, either side of the gate. So let's assume that they've got through the gate. Now, if they get through the first gate here, they then come up against this mound here. And this also would have been fortified, and I would imagine back in the day somewhat higher and a bit more formidable. But so in order to get to the inner gate, they would then be under fire from there as they advance, as well as from the fortifications of the outer gate. So they'd be being hit from three sides. And now they continue forward, coming around this mound, still under fire, and then they come up against the outer gate. So the outer gate now is between this mound and this mound here. So as they come to assault the inner gate, the main gate, so as they come to assault it, they are going to be targeted from both up there, and also from behind them on this mound as well. So then they've got to negotiate this final gate before they break into the hill fort itself and then start sacking all the houses and the grain pits and so on. But as you can see, it's quite a formidable fortification with fantastic views over the surrounding countryside, and therefore quite a formidable position to take back in the day when the Celts were fighting the Celts, as they were in the Carataka series. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's very brief tour of Danebury Hill Fort, which may well turn out to be one of the settings of a future Macro and Cato book, or possibly appear in the Carataka series that Tim Andrews and I am writing at the moment. It's a fabulous setting, this place. If you want to come and see it, it's near Stockbridge, down in the south of the country, and fairly easy to get to. One thing though, when you get to the car park here, don't make the mistake I did and go up the wrong hill and wonder where the hill fort is because it seems to be buried under trees, and it's only when I turned round, of course, and looked across the way that I discovered I had another mile or so to walk before I actually got to the one where I should have been. Anyway, there we go. That's the perils of research for you. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it.